And welcome back, everyone, to the third episode of the Sports Coverage Podcast. I'm Andrew, alongside my co host Vince, and we have a jam packed episode today. So I'd say let's just hop right into it. So we are going to start with the NFL this time, as a lot has happened in the past week since our last episode. Um, so we're first going to talk about Jonathan Taylor. So the Indianapolis Colts have given Taylor permission to seek out a trade. So Vince, what are your thoughts on that?
Um, I think Jonathan Taylor deserves to go to a good team. Yeah, Indianapolis Colts. I remember last episode we were talking about them, but I feel like he should go to a system where they need a running back, and that's where
Yeah.
kind of where the Dolphins kind of fit right in. I know they lost on the opportunity on Dalvin Cook, but this is their revenge. And my favorite right now, besides the Broncos, the Eagles, and the Bears, I think the Dolphins.
So yeah, as you just noted, there's been reported interest from the Dolphins, Broncos, Eagles, and Bears, with the Dolphins and Eagles being the two front runners for Jonathan Taylor at the moment. So how might Jonathan Taylor fit into the Dolphins and Eagles teams, and kind of how can he help them this season?
I think he will help them tremendously because he doesn't fit amazingly with the Colts. The Colts
Yeah,
are, a new team. They're brand new. Their second year head coach. I forgot his name, but yeah, like
yeah,
he was the offensive lineman for them at one point.
yeah,
But yeah, I think they'll help. Jonathan Taylor could help any of these teams tremendously, but it really just
yeah,
depends, and within the next few weeks, which
and
team he
yeah,
decides on.
and obviously the Dolphins and Eagles are contenders this year, especially the Eagles here. So, um, for Jonathan Taylor, what kind of team do you think he's looking for? Because in my opinion, I don't know if he really wants to just hop straight to the Eagles and kind of just hop on the bandwagon there, really. And I think the Dolphins are definitely an up and coming team. You guys now have a pretty good offense, as we talked about in previous
Yeah,
episodes.
but Andrew, hold on, wait. But they need the running back. But both those
Yeah,
teams need the running back position. I
right,
think like Jonathan Taylor would help tremendously, as I said, with those both teams. So yeah, the Broncos and the Bears are a good fit, but the Eagles and the Dolphins are just a better place to be as a
right,
running back right now,
right,
currently, especially with the
right.
coaching.
So, with Anthony Richardson being named the starting quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts, like we talked about last week, so with Jonathan Taylor potentially leaving the Colts, what does it mean for Richardson um, to not be able to have this star running back behind him?
He needs to step up, especially on the run game, because he is
Yeah,
that's his X factor.
right,
That's how he rolls. Um, yeah, he can throw, but he's kind of like he improves better on the running side of the ball. But
yeah,
yeah, not having Jonathan Taylor there is gonna hurt him
yeah.
tremendously. But now he gets to shine on another key factor that he
Yeah.
has running.
Right. So now we're going to move on to two very recent pieces of news that have either come out the day of recording or the day before. So we're first going to talk about former 49ers quarterback Trey Lance being traded to the Dallas Cowboys for a 2024 fourth round pick. So as we know, the 49ers QB room has been kind of a big talking point so far in the offseason, as who's going to be the starter, who's going to be the secondary. And it was just kind of a mess. So, what do you think it means for the 49ers to kind of get rid of Trey Lance? And what do you think it means for the Cowboys?
For the 49ers, I feel like it's a sad process because they really took a shot on getting him. Um, as Mike Shanahan said, it was very sad letting him go, and he's been with the organization for 2-3 years now.
Right.
But I feel like it's kind of it hurts giving up a piece like that is so talented, even though he's
Yeah.
gotten injured in the past ever
Yeah.
since getting drafted. But I
And
feel like
yeah.
I feel like it wasn't the right move. I think they should have given him one more shot.
So,
But
yeah.
like their quarterback room is just I they got I know
Yeah.
we'll get into it at a different time, but 49ers, I feel like have to get a little that solved. And
Right.
with the Cowboys, I feel like it's a great pickup, and I think he's going
Yeah.
to be a great backup, or he can potentially be a starter.
So yeah, so a couple days ago there was some news that Trey Lance could potentially be starting a couple games for the 49ers this year, but now that he's on the Cowboys, um I think it puts a lot of pressure on Dak to perform the way they want him to,
Oh yeah, for
because
sure.
now they have a plenty capable um second string QB to just take Dak's place at some point in the season. So we'll see how that plays out. And now, very recent news that came out a couple hours ago as of recording, is the Raiders agree on a 1 year reworked deal with running back Josh Jacobs that could be worth up to $12 million. So this is huge, and it kind of closes out the whole running back saga that was going on this year with
Yeah.
running backs demanding more pay and stuff like that with Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, and others. And Saquon got what he wanted, and now Josh Jacobs, I would say, has definitely gotten what he wanted. So for the Raiders to be able to agree on this deal with Josh Jacobs, what does that mean for this team that has a new quarterback and recent pickup of a nice wide receiver a couple of years ago?
I don't know if I was Josh Jacobs, say like I wouldn't really want to go back to the Raiders. Yeah, they're a good team, but I want to go to a team that really needs a running back.
Right. So the
Really
franchise,
needs a running
yeah.
back.
So the franchise tag that was put on him was kind of the big issue. So I think that it's better for the Raiders to kind of get the whole franchise tag thing out of the way and just take the 1 year deal for this year so that, like the Giants did with Saquon, um, they'll
Yeah.
actually perform 100% and want to be on this team that they're now that they're getting this ludicrous amount of money paid to them.
But I feel like it was a good pickup though for the
Yeah,
Raiders. They who what are they gonna do without him?
exactly.
They're not gonna have another running back besides Josh
Right.
Jacobs. So it
Right.
really just depends. I think the Raiders are gonna be good though. So talking about the
Yep.
Raiders, as we do every week with the AFC and NFC West standing predictions. Andrew, what do you have
Yeah.
for the AFC West?
So yeah, I'll talk about the AFC West first. So I feel like this is an obvious pick. The reigning Super Bowl champions, the Kansas City Chiefs, are going to be in first place for me. Um, Pretty obvious in this division, I would think. I don't think any of the other teams have gotten to the point where they can beat just Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelsey, and the Chiefs right now. So what about you? Who do you got in first place? And I think I know the answer to this.
Yeah, at first place, I do have the reigning Super Bowl champion Chiefs.
All right. So for second place, this was a tough one. And it was really between the Raiders and the Chargers for me. So I am going to go with the Raiders in a kind of interesting pick because I think that with
Ooh,
Devonte Adams being thrown to by a very experienced quarterback, I think is a big part of this team now that they brought Josh Jacobs back today. Now, if they hadn't reworked this deal with Josh Jacobs, I might not have put him at second, but now we know that he's going to be playing his absolute best and he's going to be playing every game out there this season. I got the Raiders in second.
yeah, I personally really like that pick, but I'm gonna take the Chargers.
All right.
I feel like that rookie class getting Quentin Johnson was
Right.
pretty big, and that receiver core is going to be nasty. All right,
Yeah.
nasty. I'm telling you right now, Justin Herbert is going to ball with those guys. All right,
Yeah.
they have the tight end,
Yeah.
they have the running back, they have the offensive line. I think they're gonna shine to expectations like last season, but they're gonna be even
Yeah.
better. That's
So
why I have them at second.
yeah. So I got the Chargers at third, and only because again, like I've talked about in the past couple episodes, rookie classes and kind of building your team off of just a bunch of rookies and saying that that's how you guys are gonna like perform this year is just an interesting way to go about it, and it could either work very well for you, like maybe the Chargers will end up in second, but for right now how we're looking, if Quentin Johnson performs as like how he's supposed to, I still think that they're going to be in third.
Yeah, so at third I have the Raiders.
Yep.
I like this team a lot. Um, I do think they could possibly get second, but I have them at third because of certain reasons.
Yeah.
not knowing, yeah, Josh Jacobs signed the deal, but will he exceed? Will he
Yeah.
want to actually play his heart out? Um, but I do think Jimmy G is a good pickup. But losing Derek Carr is pretty big because yeah, he's been with the team for
Yeah.
so long. It could
Right.
hurt an organization. So it
Right.
really just depends on
Yeah.
weeks prior.
So then I think we both then got the Broncos in last place. I
Yeah.
don't think they're going anywhere this season. Listen, like last year when the news of Russell Wilson going to them, we all had very high expectations. But as you saw last year, how far they fell, I don't think they're going to be improving much this year at all. So next we are going to be going to the NFC West. So I'll start out once again with this one. Um, I got the 49ers in first place. An interesting pick for some, but I think that right now they're the strongest team on paper. And
Oh
I
yeah.
think I think that they are just going to be the team like last year that can just kind of cruise to the postseason.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I have him at my first slot too.
Yeah,
I think they are going to make their way past every NFC team, and I think we could possibly see them in the Super Bowl this year.
yeah.
And I'm telling you right now,
And that's
they are a
if they're
favorite.
yeah,
I think they're a
that's if
favorite.
they're and that's if their quarterback room performs
Oh,
the
oh
way
yeah.
they should. Yeah. So then second place, it's tough because we're seeing with the Rams again, they're kind of iffy on a few parts. Obviously, they have star wide receiver Cooper Cup as their big weapon. Um, I think that coming off of last year, with a big comeback year for Gino, I'm putting the Seahawks at second.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
And that's also if like DK can perform and those guys, because you really need for the Seahawks to be able to actually finish in second, their entire team needs to perform the way that they
Yeah,
should.
but I do have to point something out. That receiver room is really nice. JSN,
Yeah,
Tyler Lockett, and DK Metcalf. I think when you have those three guys as your receivers,
yeah,
I think it can go either way. But I think they could possibly
yeah,
win. You know, it's a
yeah,
winning
yeah,
team
yeah.
with those
Right.
threats.
So next, Rams are going to be in third place for me. Um, they're good. They have some issues. I think they're going to be a pretty uh mediocre team this year. I don't think they're going to excel in many ways. I just think that they're going to just kind of go right through the season and we'll see what happens at the end.
Yeah,
Um, so that means last place, the Arizona Cardinals. Oh, how far they fell. Um,
yeah,
they there's not really much to say about them. I just don't think they've anything going from for them in any way. Especially with quarterback and losing DeAndre Hopkins and stuff like that. I think that they're not really going to be contenders or even like a winning team in any way.
yeah. Is there really an explanation here to
Yeah.
why they should even be third or second? I mean, they're
Yeah.
definitely not getting first, but I don't even think we need to explain why
Yeah.
they are last. I
They
mean,
don't
you
they don't have
you
anything going for them.
yeah.
So, we're now going to move on to Major League Baseball. So we're going to talk about um the best player currently in baseball, Shohei Ohtani, and news has come out this week that he will not be pitching for the remainder of the 2023 season after suffering a torn UCL. And reports state that he will continue to hit for the team, which is obviously good for his MVP run and stuff like that. And obviously, I think as it stands right now, unless he just falls off the face of the planet, he is going to be the 2023 AL MVP. So what do you think about this news?
Yeah, I think it really hurts that pitching room because the Angels are not the best team right now.
Yeah,
They haven't been that for the last 12 years. You know,
yeah.
I feel bad for Trout. I feel bad for Shohei.
But I mean, obviously, Trout just got hurt as well again after
Yeah,
coming back for a couple games. So they need these puzzle pieces come together. And I want to note Lucas Giolito, who was their trade deadline pickup, one of their major trade deadline pickups.
yeah,
They made a lot of rental pickups that are probably and that we're trying to make them contenders for this year. But now with Shohei um, out of the starting rotation, I think Lucas Giolito is going to need to step up as that ace, and he is going to need to pitch very well for the remainder of the season.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And also, I just want to note quickly how this will affect Otani's upcoming free agency saga. So, if he has like an underlying condition with this, like if he hurts it more or something like that, that could really affect his free agent stock this year. I obviously think he's still going to go for a ton of money, but we're just going to need to watch that and kind of see what happens. And
Yeah.
and I have one more piece of MLB news I just want to note real quick. The Oakland Athletics have announced that they have filed for an application to relocate the team to Las Vegas, much to the dismay of the Oakland Athletics fan base. I think that this is a big hit to MLB baseball, and we've seen that fans have really rallied together to stand with Oakland Athletics. So what do you think this is going to mean for the team, for the organization going forward, and how is just the MLB fan base in general going to react to this news?
It's gonna be huge. I really feel bad for Oakland as a whole. I feel bad for the fans. I feel bad
Yeah,
for the my bad. The
yeah,
franchise. You know, the Athletics have been there for decades,
right,
and now they're just falling apart, going to Las
right.
Vegas, following what the Raiders previously did,
Yeah,
or the
previously said,
Warriors.
and
Yeah.
and there were many ways to get out of this, I think, and I think that the key here is just we feel bad for them. So
Yeah.
we'll kind of see how this plays out if the application gets approved, but obviously, we want to put the word out there to sell the team, as the Oakland Athletics fan base has been chanting for the last couple months.
Yeah.
So we'll keep you updated on how this pans out. So now with the start of the college football season,
Let's go.
essentially here, we're going to talk about some reconstruction that is going on in the next couple of years in within the conferences. And there's a lot of big stuff being changed around here, so we just want to keep you updated on what's going on. So for the next 2 years, as of right now, the ACC is going to stay the same, but we're going to the Big Ten, and this is where things start to get interesting. So Pac-12 schools, USC, UCLA, Oregon, and Washington will join the Big Ten in the 2024 season, moving the division up to 18 teams. So what does this mean for the highly competitive Big Ten conference?
Now, as we know, the SEC is, maybe like the number one division in college football. They have powerhouses as at Alabama,
Right.
maybe not so
Georgia,
yeah, Georgia, not maybe
Georgia,
not so the
Clemson.
University of Florida anymore. Yeah, well, yeah. So
Yeah.
I really think that the Big Ten will become even bigger after this one.
Yeah.
Now you're gonna have USC, UCLA, Oregon, and Washington in it, but you're also gonna have Ohio
And
State,
and those
Michigan,
teams
Penn State.
and
Yeah,
and USC, UCLA, and Oregon and Washington have good college football programs, and I think that they're going to be competitors as soon as they step into the Big Ten.
yeah.
So, um, for the Big 12, BYU, Cincinnati, Houston, and UCF will join the conference for the 2023 season, and that will bring the Big 12 up to 14 teams. So we've seen the last couple of years, Cincinnati has been a real dark horse, making it to the college football playoffs in one of
Couple
the
years
last
ago,
couple
yeah.
seasons. Yep. So that's kind of huge for them as competitors. Same for BYU, Houston, and UCF to be able to join a more competitive conference like the Big 12. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, I really do like UCF. I
Yeah,
like that move because they deserve to be in a better conference. And
right,
that has nothing to be with the Atlantic Division, but
right.
I feel like joining the Big 12 will help all four of these teams, but
Right.
in my opinion, I think UCF helps them the most.
So in 2024, this is where it goes downhill a bit for Big 12. So Oklahoma and Texas will be joining the SEC,
Yeah.
which is an interesting move, and we'll talk about that more in a second. Colorado will be rejoining the Big 12, and it brings with it Arizona, Arizona State, and Utah from the Pac-12 to bring the team to 16 teams. So first, let's just note on who's joining the Big 12 for now, and we'll talk about Oklahoma and Texas when we get to the SEC in a little bit. So, what do you think this means for Arizona, Arizona State, and Utah, as well as Colorado rejoining?
Yeah, I really do like that Colorado team.
Yeah,
And obviously I love those other teams, but I think Colorado is gonna be a really big underdog next season.
yeah,
Will Deion Sanders live up to the hype?
right.
Maybe will he or will he not? It really
Yep.
depends
Right.
by mid-season.
And we'll see how this year, because Colorado is rejoining in 2024. So we're gonna kind of get a preview of it this year, and we'll see then how they might do in the Big 12
Yeah.
next year. And obviously Utah we've seen be contenders. They've been a pretty good team in the past couple of years, same for Arizona and Arizona State. So I think that this is a good move for the conference. And we'll see what happens in 2024. So now the Pac-12, which has taken the biggest hit out of any of the conferences. So in no moves for this year, but in 2024, UCLA, USC, Oregon, and Washington leave for the Big Ten. Arizona, Arizona State, Colorado, and Utah are going to the Big 12. So in 2024, there will only be 4 teams left in the Pac-12: Cal, Oregon State, Stanford, and Washington State.
Yeah, it doesn't really feel right to me. Um, I feel like the Pac-12 is just going downhill from here, and I think
And we've seen it the past couple of years. We've seen them
Yeah,
been going downhill.
yeah, for sure. There's honestly, just to point out, there's better divisions. I'm sorry,
Right.
there's better D1 programs. There's better,
Oh,
yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's better places to be.
Right.
But having 4 teams is really not going to help the division at all, and
Right.
that's why I feel like they hurt the most out of any of these conferences.
Right. So, and we'll kind of see, is this like the end of the Pac-12 here playing with 4 teams? Will
Yeah,
Cal, Oregon State, Stanford, and Washington move somewhere else? We'll see. But for now, for 2023, this is going to be the season where they prove themselves and maybe bring in some other schools. So now we're going to the SEC,
go Gators.
which roll tide. We're going to the SEC,
No,
which is probably most would consider the
best program
best
or
conference
best conference
in
in college
college
football.
football.
Yeah.
So in 2024, Oklahoma and Texas will be joining the highly competitive SEC from the Big 12, moving the conference total to 16 teams. So this move, both of these schools have been known for a little while now. I think it's great for Oklahoma and Texas. I think that they definitely deserve this. Will they be able to compete? I guess we'll see. But from what we've seen, they've been pretty good teams.
Yeah, I love this move. I love, as a Gators fan, I love the SEC. I love the competitiveness in this conference. And
Right.
I think just going forward, it's going to help this conference a lot more. I think more people are going to enjoy the SEC way more than usual. And Texas and Oklahoma joining is really just a huge upgrade. And yeah,
Right.
the Big Ten is also got some huge schools joining them, but
Yep.
I think it's really just a run between those two conferences, because
Yep.
I think those are the 2 main conferences right now in
Yeah.
college
I
football
I
that
would
we
definitely
need to
agree
be
with
paying
that.
attention to.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. So now for the AAC, this conference is making a lot of moves. So Cincinnati, Houston, and UCF are leaving for the Big 12, and Charlotte, FAU, North Texas, Rice, UAB, and UTSA are joining the AAC. The conference will have 14 teams in the upcoming season. So obviously it's a big hit for them to lose. Like we said, Cincinnati, Houston, and UCF, who have been their most competitive teams. And
Oh yeah, for
obviously
sure.
last couple of years, Cincinnati has been the dark horse in this conference. So we'll see how Charlotte, FAU, North Texas, Rice, UAB, and UTSA will fare in the AAC. So we're just gonna talk about a few other conferences real quick. The Sun Belt is not making any moves. MAC is not making any moves. Mountain West is not making any moves, and Conference USA is making some moves. So they will be losing Charlotte, FAU, North Rice, or North Texas, Rice, UAB, and UTSA to the AAC. And they will be gaining Jacksonville State, Liberty, New Mexico State, and Sam Houston. The conference will play with 9 teams in the upcoming season, and Kennesaw State will join Conference USA in 2024 to push the conference's total to 10.
I do have to say though something, Andrew. I love these moves right now.
Yeah,
It's really not going to be the same. It's going to feel a little weird getting used to, but with these big powerhouse names in college football joining even bigger conferences, it's really going to bring the love, the passion that's already been there, but it's going to really just
yeah,
open up a huge circle to college football fans. And I feel
yeah,
like everyone's going to enjoy college
yeah,
football in the next 2 or, next
yeah,
season or the next couple of seasons. But I'm
yeah.
excited, man. I'm excited.
So, we have a little bit of extra time, so I just want to ask you, who do you think the teams going to the college football playoffs are going to be in the 2023 season?
Ooh, that's a good question. Good
And
question.
and just so everyone knows, we did not prepare for this at all, so this is going to be some interesting takes here, possibly.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Um, I might just name some random schools, but
Yeah,
eventually we might honestly have to do just a strict, maybe not
yeah,
even a whole episode, but we might
but
have
just
to
right,
just do an
yeah,
episode. For
right
right
now,
now,
off
all
the
right,
top
hold
of your
on.
head, who are we thinking? I have a couple. If you want me to go first.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead. You can go first.
I think that Michigan is going to be a contender this season. You know, we've seen them kind of go off in the last couple of years. Um, so and honestly, I don't mind Michigan. Michigan's a good school, and I think that they'll be making it. I also got this is a little biased. I got Alabama Roll Tide. I think that they are just always a strong team, and I think that they'll be able to make it this year. I think that Georgia probably will make it again. They're quite a strong school, and of course, it will produce more wonderful prospects for the Eagles to draft. um, and the last, I think, is kind of a toss up. I think it's probably going to be either an SEC or Big Ten school, but maybe we could see Cincinnati sneak in there, BYU, Oregon, one of those schools that joining new conferences in the next couple of years that may be able to compete. So I kind of have 3 picks and then like a wild card.
Yeah. Um, for my number, I think this is pretty obvious. Georgia, I think
Yeah,
is probably everyone's number one pick to be in this college football
yeah.
playoff.
The Eagle, otherwise known as the Eagles farm system, as we've seen in the last couple drafts.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. I also have Michigan, as you
Yeah,
said. Yeah, I love Michigan. I love Chase Corbin. I love everything about that team. But there's a
yep,
lot of stuff going on with the coaching staff. But I
yeah.
feel like it's really
I
gonna.
I, I don't think
I think
that's
it's gonna be
gonna.
fine. I don't think
Yeah,
it's gonna be really a worry. And
yeah.
I also have Ohio State, which I think is also an
Yeah,
easy
I'm gonna say like
guess.
that's one of the toss
Those
ups I
are
have
those are
because
probably the top three always every year. I feel like.
listen, I would put Ohio State in, but I think there's a couple other teams that can kind of sneak their way in there. So I'm gonna keep Ohio State kind of at the top of my 4th pick, but we'll see.
Now, I'm going to add these two teams, and I'm going to say something really personal.
Yes.
I love Texas, and I do love Tennessee, and I also love USC. I think these three schools can easily go big in this upcoming college football
Yeah.
playoff, and I think those are already three locks that can
Yeah.
be very, very proven to be a better playoff, going forward.
Yeah. And we'll come back to college
Obviously, this
football
discussion, yeah.
yeah, in a couple weeks. Um, so our fast fact for today is a bit of an interesting one. And it's a sport that I enjoy watching, and I know a lot of Americans have kind of picked up over the last couple of years, and that is Formula One. So the Dutch Grand Prix is this weekend. As of recording, it's actually tomorrow. And with a win, Formula One star and reigning champion of Formula One, Max Verstappen, can tie the all-time consecutive wins record in Formula One.
And honestly, Andrew, I think it's looking good today because after qualifying, he'll be starting on pole position to start the race.
Yeah, and as we've seen, pole position for Max Verstappen pretty much means no looking back. The Red Bull car is just absolutely insane. And right now, obviously, it's looking like Max Verstappen and Red Bull will be winning the constructors and drivers championship. Um,
Agreeable.
and I think that Max really has a phenomenal shot of doing it tomorrow. And we look forward to that. So,
Yeah.
again, all over the screen, we have our socials. So, check out the Instagram, check out the Spotify if you want audio only listening. Um,
Check out the YouTube
and
and Spotify.
yeah, and in the upcoming weeks, we will have your week one kind of just looking at what's our predictions for week one with a special guest. Um, and yeah, that's it for episode 3 of the Sports Coverage Podcast. I'm Andrew alongside Vince, and thank you everyone for listening.